So,
and to be fair, that was a pretty messed up timeline as well, because the bird of prey that they showed was an original series bird of prey, like the kind we seen in Balance of Terror. But if we're going to include my oft mentioned but not oft watched television program Star Trek Enterprise, they had the Romulans in that show had their own classes of ships developing parallel to Starfleet and the Klingons. And
so, the original idea behind that Balance of Terror was the Romulans had somehow stolen the plans for Constitution or whatever they were going to call it, those Starfleet class ships.
Right.
That's why it has a saucer section and 2 nacelles, because originally it was going to be based off of the Starfleet floor plan.
Right.
But which Balance of Terror is probably one of the greatest episodes of Star Trek. So, I'll take,
guaranteed.
Yeah, I'll take any reference to it we can get. I think one of the reasons Enterprise gets, I don't know, these days I'd say more people are open to watching it and considering it okay. And it definitely gets referenced a lot in the story. But I think one of the big problems with Enterprise was when they first meet the Klingons, it didn't go the way that Jean-Luc made it sound in that episode of The Next Generation. They bump into the Ferengi and then, there's Romulans in here and
the Borg.
The Borg.
Our favorite.
Yeah. It felt more like a precursor to Star Trek The Next Generation than it did to Star Trek.
Right.
Just stuff like that, I think, kind of is what got in the way of it.
Yeah, they couldn't get away without their references.
Yeah. So Kirk brings up to her that he saw a Romulan vessel in there, and they start trying to figure out that, they're looking for some kind of Romulan tech that could be used. And this is where they decide it must be something nuclear. My mouth is dry. I was about to say nuclear.
I'm pulling a George Bush today.
Yeah. I think it was Reagan, actually.
I always thought it was a W.
Oh, well, maybe it was. So what they need is an engineer who won't ask questions. Now, we harken back to a little conversation that happened earlier in the episode when Lyanne was talking to a certain sticky-fingered engineer.
Prolific collector.
I'm sorry. Yeah. A treasure hunter.
Indeed.
Yeah. And she happens to know that Pelia is somewhere right now as an archaeologist. So they decide that they're going to take a much longer trip than they're going to make it look. Down to Vermont is where they're going to head.
Right.
And find Pelia and get her help.